as free agency comes closer and closer, it seems much more likely now than it ever has before that Lonzo Ball is probably going to be on the Chicago Bulls by the end of this free agency. And this video, I'm going to talk about how I do think that is a very big plus for the Bulls, but unlike a lot of other Bulls fans, I think we really need to be careful about this, and I think that we have to understand that although I do like Lonzo as a player, he really has not shown enough to me to warrant as much money as he is going to be getting, and that is very risky, especially when we have a guy like Zach LaVine who is eligible for an extension this year. And if we don't give him an extension, he will be an unrestricted free agent next year. So if the Bulls underperform this year, it is going to, it could ruin the Bulls' future. Zach could leave, Vooch could request a trade, Zoe could end up staying on the Bulls and being horrible for the next 4 years of his potential $80 million to even more money dollar contract. So starting off today, I am going to start to talk about Lonzo Ball, and that's obviously the number one guy everybody on the Bulls, every fan of the Bulls wants them to grab. And although I love him, I don't love him just yet. I've got a few qualms with Lonzo. I think he plays fantastic defense. I think he is a very high IQ. I think that sometimes he could hurt the team more than he can help it through his decision making and through his lack of confidence. And that is hard to say because we haven't seen him in a really stable situation more than just like this last year. This last year was the most stable it's been for Lonzo. He had a fantastic player in Zion who helped create opportunities off the pick and roll, helped a ton of gravity towards the basket for Lonzo to utilize to, get assists. But Lonzo's scoring has not been what it was touted to be coming out of college. Number 2 overall in the NBA draft, and I don't think that he's lived up to the scoring hype that is necessary. And that is unfortunate because I think he has fantastic size. He uses his body perfectly. He can get to the basket, more times than not. But for some reason, he just does not. He only takes 22% of his shots at the basket. He loves sitting around the three-point line waiting for catch-and-shoot jumpers if he's not, bringing the ball up the court. I want to see Lonzo with the ball in his hands a lot more than he ever has had in his career. I think that a lot of times on, the Lakers and the Pelicans, the ball was taken out of his hands when it wasn't necessary because Lonzo, he needs it in his hands to run the offense. And that's what this whole thing is about. We want a point guard who can run the offense. Lonzo is a borderline sketchy creator when it comes to creating his own shot. He can create for others, but I think it's a little tough when he keeps tweaking his jump shot and he keeps tweaking his step back. And, getting to the basket should be very easy for Lonzo, and it kind of is. He still does it, but I do not think that his confidence helps whatsoever. I've seen better from players getting paid less. Do you know what I mean? Like, 4 years, $80 million is like the minimum he's going to take. That's the minimum. I would maybe even expect the Bulls to sign him to something even more than that. And that's worrying because you don't want to have a player getting paid $20 million plus a year who ends up busting. And it's a really risky sign. But if Zach likes it, and I do like Lonzo. I think he'll be good for the Bulls. I just think that we're paying him a lot for somebody who hasn't necessarily showed what he can do fully as a scorer. Being a scorer is important. And although Kobe off the bench will be really beneficial for Lonzo, I think he'll be the best off the bench scorer that he's ever had coming at off the, as a point guard. I think Kobe should continue to play point guard off the bench. I think that even though, I think he's come a long way from his rookie year to now. This last year has been a real big experiment for Kobe, but I think he's learned enough to continue to grow as a point guard and possibly be a placeholder for Lonzo if Lonzo, doesn't do too well. I really like Kobe then this next season as a good bench player. It sucks, he's not going to be the star that I wanted him to be. He's not going to be the all-star point guard that I thought maybe was in the cards for him, especially if he's coming off the bench. But with that said, he can be one of the best sixth men in the NBA if he continues his scoring ability and if his playmaking improves. I already think he was a decent playmaker last year. His turnover started to decrease a ton, and towards the end of the year, he looked very good as a point guard. But I agree that Lonzo is probably the better choice here just off of his IQ and his playmaking. He's a true point guard. He's going to get Vooch good, passes on the pick and roll. Zach is going to be great. I think Zach's going to benefit the most out of this. He's going to have a little bit more floor spacing. He's going to have a little bit more IQ up top, and things are going to start to click for Zach, I think. And I really do think Zach is going to have his best year ever this next season. He's improved every year of his career. Last year he had, in my opinion, one of the most underrated seasons of any player in the past 10, 15 years, He was close to 40, 50, 90, averaging 27. He's one of the best scorers in the NBA. I think he's a top 20 player in the NBA. I'm sure that the only people watching at this point are Bulls fans, and they can all attest that Zach is fantastic. Lonzo's going to help him take that next step into all-star starter caliber, and possibly become, as hopeful as I may be, an MVP candidate. I think he has the ability to do that if the Bulls succeed. Vooch is fantastic. I love Vucevic. I think he's very underrated. Plus, we've got a few good guys we have Thaddeus Young. We have a developing Patrick Williams who looks stellar on defense in his first year with plenty of room to grow offensively, coming out of a summer league where I assume he will dominate. Plus, his defense is already insane. He should be a starter for the Bulls based off his defense alone. He can get to the basket. He's an athletic freak. I have so much faith in Patrick Williams. You have no idea. I think he will be an all-star one day. Plus, Kobe White off the bench is a scoring option. Thaddeus Young, as I've already mentioned. Tomas Satoransky can be another really good playmaking guard off the bench for the Bulls if we keep him. But another problem with this is it's going to be tough to get Lonzo and also extend Zach LaVine. I really think the Bulls have to extend Zach this season, because if we don't, he is an unrestricted free agent next season. He has the ability to leave and go to whatever team he wants. And if that's the case, the Bulls have to make the playoffs, and they cannot get swept in the playoffs. They can't even, go 5 games in the playoffs. They have to succeed. They have to maybe win a series, at least make it to Game 7 or Game 6, and make it close. If that doesn't happen, I fully expect Zach LaVine to leave Chicago if that happens. But I do think the Bulls will make the playoffs. Depending on how Lonzo plays, I think that the Bulls are very good. Definitely one of the better teams in the East. Definitely a top 6 team in the East, if you ask me. We are better than the Hornets. We are better than the Wizards, especially without Russell Westbrook. This is a big gap in the Eastern Conference that has opened up, and I think that this is the time the Bulls need to take to show the world what they can do. Zach LaVine can finally get some confidence and get some wins under his belt. He's a player who has never won throughout his entire career, and this is the win now. This is where you go all in, and that's why we traded for Vucevic. That's why we might get Lonzo, and why we're probably going to end up letting Lowry leave, just because he doesn't allow this win-now personality to show. He is going to be more of a project, and we can't do that right now. We don't have the ability to stick him in as the power forward or center alongside Vooch. The defense will not work. It is bad on both ends, and it's just a liability. So, with that said, I do like Lonzo as a Chicago Bull. I am excited to see how he plays if he becomes a Chicago Bull. But there are a lot of questions I need answering, and I really hope Lonzo can step up to the plate and knock it out of the park and earn this. He's going to get it, but I want to see him exceed expectations. You know what I mean? I don't want him to underperform, as I know all of you do. So, with that said, thank you so much for watching this video. Please do like and subscribe if you enjoy. It has been a blast recording. I will continue to update about Lonzo on the Instagram. That'll be a link in bio. And with that said, thanks so much for watching, and I'll catch you next time. Peace.